What is the opinion on motherhood among Gen Z at the moment?
It's interesting. Do you see that study that said that it's over half of women do believe that motherhood is just as or more important than a career? It's just from a couple of weeks ago. But they will not, these are not conservatives. These are just normal women. They don't want to brand themselves as conservatives. They want to get married. They believe that hookup culture is bad, and they believe that motherhood is important. And so I think deep down, because these are biological instincts, I do believe that women have those urges and want that. I think that it is the culture coming in very heavy-handedly with the most absurd reasons not to, like the list, which is just 365 examples of fear-mongering.
Can't wear cute heels anymore. Got to mish brunch with the girls.
Yes. And it's like some of them I'll read and be like, oh, like that part of giving birth does not sound fun, but the end result is worth it and I don't care because I want to have a child. But a huge portion of them are, oh, your clothes don't fit properly. And oh, I might not be able to go back to my career. You want to go back and sit in a cubicle? When you could have this like beautiful, amazing child that you've created with the love of your life and you're worried about going back and working for the man. Like I thought you hated the patriarchy. Does not make sense. But no, there is a lot of fear mongering. There are more women than people think that are waking up. I was actually planning an episode for next week about this. There have been an influx of women just on my social media alone speaking out about cultural issues, social issues, political issues, talking about voting for Trump. These are not political accounts. These are random influencers, just girls on their, private, personal social medias talking about the things that Biden is doing in regards to Title IX, the transgender issue, that they have been completely woken up, realizing, oh, I don't actually want this anymore. Mix that in with the women that are in their 30s that get made fun of constantly on X for crying in their car about the fact that they can't meet a guy because they prioritize their career over dating. And then they just get ripped to shreds by people on the right, which I think is so problematic.
Yeah,
but they are struggling.
This kind of self-owns, as you said before, people on the right that are supposed to be pro-family saying, but you're going to give up your career. You just managed to find your success. This is one of the sort of real areas, I think, of failure, especially for the right, supposed to be the ones that are rational. We position ourselves up against these, super emotional fucking people on the left. You go, dude, you've just taken the piss out of a woman who is the realization that you've said that they're going to have. What do you want? Do you want her to create a fucking time machine and go back in time? That's evidently not going to happen. And someone opens up to give the message, as opposed to going, see this stupid broad, she shouldn't have listened to blah, blah, blah. You go, okay, is it a cautionary tale? Yes. But there's a human on the other side of that. It's so dehumanizing. This is why I'm so bored with most of politics and sort of culture war stuff, because everybody sees everyone as a political football of some kind that they can either kick away from them or sort of grab and bring onto their team. Perfect example of this. Remember when Nicki Minaj went anti-vax for a couple of weeks? Yeah. And the right was like, Nicki, come on. I'm like, Nicki Minaj? Are we being serious? Yeah. But, there's this brief sort of sliver where their talking point coincides with my desire to push this particular narrative. Yeah.
And you hold on and you're like, I'll ignore everything else.
Lame.
And it's, and I'm somebody obviously that reacts to culture. I talk about the news, that is something that I would talk about on the show, but it's like you walk a fine line of acknowledging that this is interesting. Sure, that's cool. That's, one thing that I agree with Nicki Minaj on, but you don't have to suddenly absolve her of every other value that she's ever had that I disagree with. And I think that's the real problem. Like you can say, oh, that's cool. I don't agree with the rest of the things that you're doing, but that's interesting. I wonder how she got to that point. That's what's interesting to me. And then looking at the reaction, and obviously, it's called the comment section. That's what I do. But seeing how the internet responds to it, that's also the interesting part. I don't need to adopt her. I don't need her to suddenly come over to my side. So yeah, I completely agree with that. And I think that response to women does not help us at all. That response to women who are, 31, single, desperately need help finding somebody. The response is not screw you. Oh, boo hoo. The response is no, there will still be somebody out there for you. I believe that. If you, realign your priorities, if you do put yourself out there, if you become open and you're willing to be vulnerable, I do believe in that wholeheartedly. But then you use that as again, the cautionary tale, like you said, of like young women, this is what could happen. This is what we warned. This is what feminism said you wouldn't care about. You won't care when you're 31 and you have no kids and you've frozen your eggs and you're working for the man and you have some corporate career. It won't matter. Obviously, it does.
That being said, I have this idea that normalizing the gift of IVF embryo freezing, or at least like egg freezing at 21 would be one of the best things that you could do. I think that instead of giving a girl a fancy trip to Tulum with her and her friends or a nice watch or whatever, I don't know what American families do, but like 21 tends to be like a big, and getting your egg frozen is not cheap. But imagine just that insurance policy, just in case something happens. I think that would be a good way to look at stuff. But yeah, so is it your belief that we are seeing a kind of quiet revolution of young women beginning to see the importance of motherhood and sort of long-term relationship? Is this a pushback against casual sex, against hookup culture? Is this
for sure
tied in with the conservative movement, or is this totally separate? Is it just siloed off onto dating?
I think that you can smush them together if you want. And I think that there is a lot of overlap, but I don't think that this is a lot of women suddenly being like, I'm conservative, I'm going to vote for Trump, I'm ready to be a trad wife, give me my, frolicking sundress. That's not what it is. It's women being intelligent and having self-awareness and looking at the world around them and going, this doesn't sit right. I don't know if that's going to translate into votes. I would love it to translate into votes because I think that the world needs some literal, political redirection. But I do think that it speaks volumes about our culture and the lies that women have been told, not just about their relationships and dating and motherhood, but women are also having a really rude awakening about our health. I mean, birth control is such a huge topic right now. Our health, our OBGYNs who have gaslit so many women for years at this point about their health, about our hormones. I think that there's just in general, women are looking around going, oh my gosh, what we've been told and fed for the last 20, 30 years, none of this makes sense. We need to take a step back and reevaluate. And I think we're seeing this in real time. And some of it, is even happening on the right because a lot of women on the right are, waking up to big pharma and, their health. So it's happening in every single political pocket. But it's just very, very cool. And I'm glad that it's happening.
In other news, this episode is brought to you by Nomatic. Last year, I went on a tour across the UK, USA, and Dubai, and I didn't check a single bag because hold luggage is a psyop meant to keep you poor and late. In fact, I never need to check bags anymore at all, thanks to Nomatic. This is the best backpack in history. Everybody that I've got to try it has had their life revolutionized by it, and they make the most functional, durable, and innovative backpacks and luggage that I've ever used. Their 20-litre travel pack, which is this sucker right here, is an absolute game changer. The amount of thought that they put into every pouch and zipper is incredible. They're beautifully designed and not over-engineered and will literally last you a lifetime with their lifetime guarantee. So this is the final backpack that you'll ever need to buy. Best of all, you can return or exchange any product within 30 days. So if you buy your new bag, try it and don't like it, they will just give you your money back. Right now, you can get a 20% discount by going to the link in the show notes below or heading to nomatic.com/modernwisdom and using the code MW20 at checkout. That's nomatic.com/modernwisdom and MW20 at checkout. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you enjoyed that clip, you will love the full-length podcast with Brett, which is available right here. Go on. What are you waiting for?